God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Hello, my name is Tim Miller. I'm a member of the Embrace Clinic and Care Center's Steadfast Fathers Ministry team, and I'm happy to be with you today to share some thoughts on what it means to be a good man. Particularly, what are some techniques you can use to have a positive influence on those people around you, particularly your children. I'd like to start by sharing a story about Steve. Steve shared his personal story at one of our recent Steadfast Fathers class sessions. Steve was recently separated from the mother of his children, and the court had granted Steve visitation privileges every other Saturday. Steve had visited his children faithfully for about 6 months. And during this period, he started a relationship with another woman. And he enjoyed the relationship with the woman so much that he wanted to make sure that she got to know his children. So on one of the Saturdays when he was to visit his children, he asked his girlfriend to come along with him. They drove over to the house, stopped the car in the front of the house, went up the front steps to the door to get the kids, and they were greeted by the mother of his children crying and screaming hysterically that she would never let Steve see his children again. An argument erupted, and Steve had to leave without his children. Steve finished his story by saying that he hadn't seen his children for 2 months, and he was frustrated, angry, and really wondered what he had done wrong. I share Steve's story to reinforce 2 important building block characteristics necessary to become a good man. Those characteristics are self-awareness and relationship skills. A man who is self-aware is aware of himself as a man and aware of how he is important to his family. He knows his moods, his feelings, his emotions, and is responsible for his behaviors and knows that his ability to be with his children is affected by the choices he makes, and he accepts responsibility for those choices. The second building block is relationship skills. A good man builds and maintains healthy relationships with his children, the mother of his children, family members, friends, and people in the community. A good man knows how the relationship with the mother of his children affects his children, and he does his best to create a good relationship with her for the sake of his children. In my experience working with men and fathers, I've come to realize that Steve's experience is not very unique. Other men have shared similar stories and were at a loss as to what they did wrong. Perhaps you have a similar story in your own life experiences. My challenge to Steve and now to you is, what have you learned from those experiences? If you had it to do over again, what would you do differently? Now let me introduce you to a tool that a good man needs to have in his toolbox to gain control of his life and have a positive influence on others. I'd like to introduce the concepts of proactive and reactive. A good man needs to develop the characteristic of being proactive. Instead of reacting to events, a good man needs to anticipate events. He envisions how his choices and actions will impact other people in a positive or negative way. A proactive man creates the space he needs to choose the best response to the situation which he faces. Let's take a look at handout number 1. Look at these 2 circles. The outer circle is the circle of no control. It has all the things you can't control in your life. The inner circle is your circle of control. It has all the things that you do have a control over in your life. So think about these two circles. What are some things in your life that you're not in control of? Now think about some of the things in your life where you do have a control. I'd like to suggest that probably the only area where you really can have any control is control over yourself. When we are reactive, we have no control, and no control equals no influence on others. When we are proactive, we have more control, and more control brings more influence, and hopefully it gives us an opportunity to have more of a positive influence on others. Let's look now at handout number 2. You can clearly see the difference between being reactive and being proactive. When a man is reactive, you'll notice there is no space between what is happening to him and how he responds to that situation. A proactive man creates the space he needs to choose the best response to the situation he is in. You'll note that when a man is proactive, he takes extra time to pause, think, and then choose the best course of action for the given situation he is faced with. Remember, reactive actions fall into the circle of no control, and hence you have very little influence on others. Proactive actions, on the other hand, fall within a circle of control, and hence you'd have more influence and have more of an opportunity for a positive impact on others. So let's now apply what we just learned. Think of a personal example, maybe in your past, where you were reactive. If you were faced with that situation in the future, how could you be more proactive? What could you do to pause to take control? Think now about the choices and the risks that exist. If you choose a certain course of action, what impact, positive or negative, will that have on others? Now choose the best approach that will bring the most positive result, the most positive influence. I encourage you to practice being proactive. Prior to any given situation, think through and anticipate how what you say or do will have an impact and influence on others. Ask yourself, if I say this or if I do that, how will the other person respond? What do I need to do or say to make this a positive interaction? As the saying goes, you have to use a tool or to get rusty. I encourage you to practice being proactive in the days ahead. And I'd suggest if you can be more proactive, you'll find that it's really worth it. You'll be more positive in your outlook. It'll be more won't be as stressful, I should say. And isn't that really worth it in your daily life to have less stress and be more positive on others? So let's return now to the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, my areas of no control, the courage to change the things I can, my areas of control, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thanks for watching. Can I go back to that one part?
No, it's all or nothing. Yeah.
Oh, too bad.